Welcome back to day 9 of this 14-day tutorial. This second week of the series is dedicated to using our sourdough starter to bake San Francisco-style sourdough bread. Since I'm making adjustments to the series as I put each video out, this schedule may change, but for right now, here's the plan for the remaining days. So we have a lot to cover and only 6 days left. Let's get straight to it. You'll remember in the day 1 video we talked about what you need to build your starter, and in today's video we're going to do the same thing for what you'll need to actually start baking loaves. So I want to give you different options so you know what's absolutely required, what's nice to have, and what's a bonus for people with a borderline unhealthy obsession for making bread like me. I won't go into too much detail about each one right now, but we'll cover most of them in more detail when we use them later in the series. We'll do this in categories and give you options for each one. First, the only adjustment to what you already needed to make your starter is that the scale has moved from the nice to have to the need to have. You can certainly follow the rest of the tutorial without one, but you'll just have to Google the conversions as we go and it'll be a lot less precise. You'll need somewhere to mix your ingredients and develop your dough, and a large bowl is really all that's needed here. If you do have a larger work surface though, that's even better. As you start to work your dough, all you need is your hands, but if you have a bowl scraper and a bench scraper, it does make life a lot easier. And as a bonus tip, a drywall taping tool like this one is an absolute game changer, trust me. You'll need somewhere to put your loaves after you shape them, and you can certainly get by with just a bowl with a tea towel or baking paper, but eventually you're really going to want to get bannetons like these if bread baking becomes a habit. And rice flour works great here for keeping the loaves from sticking to the bowl or banneton. To cover the loaves while they proof, you can use a tea towel, some foil, or even a shower cap works great. When you score the loaf as it goes in the oven, a simple sharp knife will do, but if you have a razor blade that works much better. You can put it on a coffee stirrer and make it a bit safer, or build a makeshift holder like this one here. But if you end up getting serious about bread baking, a specialized tool called a lom is best. You can buy cheap ones at places like Amazon, or get a really stylish one, like this one from Wire Monkey Shop. I'll link to them below as well if you're interested in getting one yourself. When you're proofing and retarding your dough, you can make do with just the oven with the light on trick from earlier in the series for warm or bulk proofing, and your kitchen fridge for retarding the dough overnight. If you have a fridge that you don't use very much, that's even better as the temperature can really fluctuate if you continually open and close the door. If you have a special oven that allows you to set the exact temperature for bulk proofing, that's even better. And a wine fridge that keeps your dough at about 10 degrees Celsius, 50 Fahrenheit is a game changer, because then you can change from simply retarding your dough to actually cold proofing it, which is what the professionals do. Now your crust will be perfectly fine without any special attention, but if you want that blistery, crackly crust that most people associate with this type of bread, you're going to need to find a way to introduce some steam into the first part of your bake. If you're not lucky enough to have an oven with a steam function built in, and I most certainly am not, you can accomplish the same result by simply pouring a bit of boiling water into a heated pan at the bottom of the oven at the start of your bake. But even easier than that is if you have a Dutch oven or another type of enclosed cast iron pot. These trap the water as it escapes the baking bread and creates a steam-rich environment for a beautiful crust to form. There are a lot more advanced methods as well, like using lava rocks to create more steam in your water pan. Or if you want to spend a bit of money for a purpose-built bit of kit, then you might want to check out the Challenger bread pan shown here, which I'll link to below. Now if you're not using an enclosed pot like a Dutch oven, then you'll have to figure out what you want to bake your loaves on. A baking sheet will do in a pinch, but it's better if you have something that'll store a lot of heat when it's preheated in the oven. A baking steel does this beautifully. If you don't have a baking steel, the next best option would probably be a pizza stone, but they're not as efficient as steels at transferring their heat to loaves. Also, if you have a pizza peel like this one, it makes it a lot easier to get the loaves in and out of the oven. Finally, after your beautiful bread comes out of the oven, make sure you have a serrated knife around and something to cool it on like a wire rack. And the final thing you need is patience, because you really should wait 30 minutes to an hour to let it finish cooking and cooling inside before you cut into it. But personally, I've never been too great at that. So that's the end of this list, and just to recap where we're at now. You should now have your starter going pretty well, and you're feeding it whenever it gets hungry. You now know what the levain build and autolyse phases are, and why you need them. And now you know what you'll need to have at the ready when you start baking in just a couple days' time. So we'll leave it there for today, and I'll leave you to keep feeding your new starter and gathering what you need from today's list. But before you do, how about liking this video and subscribing as well? It lets me know that you're enjoying what you see, and that really means a lot to me. So that's class dismissed for today, but I'll look forward to seeing you back tomorrow for the penultimate step before we finally bake our first loaf of San Francisco-style sourdough bread. Bye for now.